A gap semester before starting college can be a way to find direction and purpose, and today's one-on-one guest did just that. In 2018, as a part of BU's CGS Gap Semester, Tess Polins headed to Tanzania, not just to travel, but to do important volunteer work. 4 years later, we speak with Tess to learn more about how the calling of that experience forged a path of public service. Welcome to the show, Tess.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Can you take us back to 2018? What were you feeling after your high school graduation?
When I got into CGS, at first I was like, what is this program? But the reason I chose BU was really because of that gap semester. After graduating from BU next month, I am going to law school, following my gap year for public service. But I knew in high school that I had 7 more years of school ahead of me. So that was just super overwhelming to me. And I thought I needed to get out of the classroom and do something completely different and not education related for a little bit. And that somehow landed me in Tanzania.
What was the motivation to travel to Tanzania? What did you hope to accomplish?
I would say all throughout my life, I have always really enjoyed volunteering and found it to be something that I did that made me feel self-fulfilled. I felt good while volunteering in different projects, but also was just primarily something that I really enjoyed. I would call it one of my biggest hobbies. And I'll be pursuing family law. So I knew that I wanted to continue doing volunteer work with kids. And so when I was I wanted to do something completely different than anything I'd ever experienced. And so I was looking for a cultural experience as well. And Tanzania is in East Africa. So that's a different geographic location, different demographics that I'm used to, different language, but also it's a really safe country. So I felt totally fine to go there as a solo female traveler. And then I ended up at the Chakwama orphanage just based off of the relationship. The first time I went with an organization and they had a prior connection to that orphanage. So that's how I ended up there specifically.
And where did your call to service come from?
I don't know, if I could pinpoint it. I my entire life have wanted to do a career in family law. Obviously, when you're in first grade, you don't say I want to pursue family law, but I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer for kids. So I think I've just always liked to be helpful, and I've always really liked working with kids, but I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. So I felt volunteering was kind of that perfect middle ground.
During the first trip, what happened that made you feel the need or purpose to continue this type of humanitarian service?
I feel the first trip was so memorable to me because it was such a change from the life that I had experienced in the 18 years prior. But at the same time, I felt I assimilated into life in Tanzania so quickly and really just enjoyed it. So having it be such a pleasurable experience for me, but also knowing that in a small scale, I was able to do some positive change. I felt why not go back? It's something that I loved doing and I felt productive doing it. So that's why I made the second trip.
And what is the Chakwama Mbezi project?
At the end of my first trip, the director of the orphanage that I had been volunteering at for the past 3 months casually mentioned that there was another location of the orphanage with 13 kids. And he was well, we've never taken a volunteer there before. It's in a really rural area. But, I was really interested in getting to know all the kids there and forming friendships with them and just getting to know them. And so hearing that there were these 13 kids that I'd never met before, I was well, I want to meet them. And when we arrived at their house, the Mbezi location, it was really substandard living conditions. And immediately upon seeing it, I remember being this has got to change and I'll do it. And I saw it, interacted with the kids. The kids are great. They're so friendly.
You also have a nonprofit called Project Lots of Love. Can you tell us about it?
So I started the process of founding that project in conjunction with the Chakwama Mbezi project because I knew that this would be a much larger scale fundraiser than I had done in my first trip there. So I felt like establishing having a 501c3 would like kind of get me the legitimacy that I felt was needed to like undertake such a larger project.
You also recently received the Samuel Huntington Public Service Award, which provides a $20,000 stipend for graduating college seniors to pursue 1 year of public service anywhere in the world. First off, we would like to congratulate you. And secondly, what's the plan?
So back in September, I purchased a plot of land where I was there last summer and we toured it. So we already own the land, and then the money is going to be used to build a house. There's a bunch of different aspects of the project, but the orphanage now will be moving from where they are now to this new location, and the money from the grant is what's going to fund it.
Any advice for others who want to start their own nonprofit or even just those interested in public service abroad?
I think my first advice would be to just do it. And that's kind of cliche, but I would have never founded a nonprofit or won this big service award or done any of those things if I hadn't made that first initial trip there.
Well, that's all for now. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. We wish you luck on your future endeavors, and we can't wait to see what else you'll accomplish. And thank you for being here on this edition of One on One.